All right, last two sections. First one's really short. Types of membranes. Epithelial membranes are thin, so they're very thin, sheet-like structures. They're made up of epithelium and connective tissue. So epithelial membranes have epithelial tissue, obviously, and connective tissue. Covers body surfaces, lining body cavities. Serous membranes they're double membranes, so there's two layers, and they line body cavities that are not open to the outside. So thorax, chest cavities, abdominal cavities, most of those are going to be serous membranes. Includes the pleura, which is your lungs, and this would be the lining that they took the fluid out of for Tana. It was this is exactly where that fluid was built up at. Pericardium is around the heart, and that's also where if someone has fluid around the heart, it's usually in those linings. And then peritoneum deals with the abdominal cavities. Parietal portion, and we talked about this before. Parietal is going to line the cavity. Visceral covers the organ. That's review from last chapter, actually. And then a small amount of serous fluid, which is a lubricant. It goes between the two layers. That way, if they do rub together, it doesn't cause any harm or friction. So there's always a small amount of fluid in between those two layers. When there starts to be a buildup of too much fluid, then that causes problems. Problems with breathing, heart problems, things like that. So serous lines cavities that are not open. Mucous membranes line cavities and tubes that do open to the outside. So your mouth, nose, digestive, so esophagus, trachea, anything that's going to lead to an outside opening is going to have mucous membranes. It's a little bit of a thicker, has more protection for bacteria and things like that. And usually your mucous membranes are going to have those goblet cells that produce mucus. And third one, cutaneous, is pretty much skin. So cutaneous deals with skin. Subcutaneous, have you heard that word before? Shots can be subcutaneous, where you put them right, or sub-Q, they're sometimes called. Right under the skin is what that means. So cutaneous is skin, dry membrane, keratinized, remember that means that they die as they come to the top, and is important for protection and being waterproof. So serous, mucus, and cutaneous. Connective tissue membranes are made up entirely of connective tissue, no epithelial at all. And basically these are going to be found in your joints, and especially your ball and socket joints. So, and most of your joints. Shoulders, knees, hips. So basically they're going to line your joint cavities. And that's all with the membranes. So last one, muscle tissues. General characteristics, muscle cells are called fibers. So a muscle cell by itself is called a fiber. Their job is to contract. So muscle fibers can contract and shorten, and when they shorten, they're going to produce some type of movement. There are three types of muscle: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. You'll also see this called striated or voluntary. This will be called involuntary, non-striated. So three main types. Typically, once your muscle fibers are formed, they don't divide but they just continue to grow larger. So, to look at some pictures. Skeletal muscle is called skeletal muscle because it attaches to the skeleton and it causes it to move. So, common biceps, triceps, hamstrings, your calf, which gastrocnemius, you'll learn that later. But the muscles that are attached to the bone and are controlled by effort. So if I want to flex my arm, I think about it, I do it. The muscle fibers in skeletal muscle are long, they're shaped like cylinders, and they have these little lines or striations. So you can see all the striations that are in a skeletal muscle. And basically those bands are going to help your muscles to contract. If you take an upper level anatomy class, you'll actually get into the little portions inside that actually make those muscles contract. Smooth muscle tissue is non-striated. It does not have all those little lines that run through it. Smooth muscle is not under conscious control, so your digestive organs and things like that would be part of your smooth muscle tissue. I do not have to tell my stomach to digest my food. It does it on its own. I don't have to tell my lungs that they have to expand and contract. So involuntary or smooth muscles are going to be not so much long straight lines, but more kind of wrapped together. The bladder would be another one. Blood vessels are up there. And the third one is cardiac muscle. Cardiac means heart. It's only found in the heart, and that is it. It does have branching fibers that will connect between the muscle fibers. And it also has something darker in between called intercalated discs. Your heart muscle is one of the strongest muscles in your body. It works constant, beat, rest, beat, rest. It performs day in, day out. This is very special muscle. It is involuntary, and it is striated, not quite as noticeable as skeletal muscle, but it does have striations that go through it. And nervous tissue, nervous system, nervous tissue, brain, spinal cord, and nerves. Basically, the name for nerve cells is neurons, and they are going to conduct electrical impulses. They're going to receive impulses, they're going to send impulses. It's going to go from one neuron to the next, out to your muscles and cause them to move, out to your glands. Neurons have specific cellular extensions, and when we get into the nervous system, we'll actually talk more about the shape of neurons. Neuroglia are cells that will surround a neuron, and they are the helper cells or the nutrient cells. They are going to support, nourish, basically take care of the neurons. So neuroglia, I think, nourish the most. They provide nutrients, they protect, communicate, but they don't conduct any impulses. So neuroglia cannot receive or send impulses. So when it's talking about the branched extensions, you can kind of see, here's the nucleus, this would be the cell body, and it's going to have these branches that come out. And some of these branches can be a meter long. You can have a nerve cell or a neuron that is very large, and you can also have some that are very small. So, muscle and nervous tissue table, this is also in your book. Skeletal, striated, attached to skeleton. Smooth, involuntary, don't think about it, organs that are going to work by themselves. Cardiac, specifically heart, and nervous tissue deals with nerve nervous system, brain, spinal cord, and nerves. And that is a wrap for chapter 5.